Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. We have some breaking news as we do enter the final days of the transfer window. 3 to 4 days to go before that 11 p.m. deadline on Friday UK time, and that's all the clubs have left. That's all the players have left to do the deals they want to do before ultimately, come 11:01, whoever you're with, that's who you're committed to for the season. We know that there's a lot of stuff bubbling up in the transfer window, not just relating to Arsenal, but on the Arsenal front, we know that there's still so much to do on the outgoings front. Balogun and Kieran Tierney have managed to get their moves, but are there some surprise moves in there as well that we've got to keep an eye on? And with regards to other players that didn't train with the first team squad, Rob Holding being one of them, it looks like we might be edging towards a conclusion with some of those transfer sagas as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Rob Holding, because it looks like some clubs have been revealed. It looks like we are close to finding out where he might be ending up, or at least getting a better idea of it. But before I go into any more, of course, if you do want all the transfer latest, make sure you do subscribe to AFTV and hit the bell button, because we are keeping you up to date with all the breaking news. And Robbie is dropping videos every single morning and has done all summer for Transfer Daily, keeping up to date with all the players that are linked with the summer transfer move to Arsenal. Did I get it? Did I get it right? I think I said the famous catchphrase just right. But let's talk about Rob Holding, and I'm going to read you Fabrizio Romano's tweet immediately. This is what he said: "Understand that Mallorca and Sevilla both asked for conditions of potential Rob Holding deal this week. There are also Premier League clubs informed on the Holding situation, as he's still expected to leave." So with Rob Holding here, by the way, I think the longest serving player at the club, maybe on any. He's been there a long, long time. Arsene Wenger signed him for about $2 million from Bolton in 2016. I want to say. I think it was summer of 2016. So he's been there 7 years, and I think Rob Holding, if I'm to sort of like loosely reflect on his career, I remember that sort of away performance at Stoke when he was a young player coming into the team and everyone was really, really excited by him. And I think he largely maintained a kind of really good level. And weirdly at the time, I remember thinking, this is a defender who's good on the ball, comfortable with the ball at his feet, looking like potentially a bit of a modern centre-back. But he never really developed that way. And a big part of it was an ACL injury picked up against Manchester United when he was starting under Unai Emery. At that point, Arsenal playing a back three, and he was doing well. You know, he kind of deserved his place in the team. He started in the famous 4-2 North London derby win when we beat Spurs. Torreira got that goal, and then he picks up the injury soon after, and I think he's struggled to be the same player ever since. Mikel Arteta has got the most out of him I think he can in that time, but then I would also say, if I'm being completely honest, for the level of performance and where the team's got to, I think it's been below par. I think we've needed better, certainly in terms of squad depth. Now, Arsenal did try to address that by signing Jurrien Timber, who could play. He's played right back, left back for Arsenal, but at Ajax was predominantly a centre-back, like very, heavily played as a centre-back more than any other position. And so now he's picked up an injury. What does this mean for Arsenal? What are they going to do with the Rob Holding situation? It looks like they're still willing to let him go, but then are they willing to go pick up someone else? Gabriel Magalhaes there's still this kind of, I don't know, smoke, but we don't know if there's fire yet with regards to whether Gabriel could be leaving. And so Arsenal fans, even without sort of letting these players go, I think we need a player in. Certainly if one of them goes, that puts even more pressure on trying to get another body in before the end of the deadline. But like I said, this isn't a video really looking at what Arsenal are going to do in terms of incomings. It's about understanding Rob Holding's situation, him leaving. So I sort of just looked at where he's kind of, how he's kind of done at Arsenal, how his kind of 7-8 years have gone at the club. Mallorca and Sevilla are interesting because, so Serie A are looking at him. Sorry, not Serie A, La Liga. That's a bad mistake. La Liga clubs have been looking at him. And if I just go to this other bit of news, it goes via AFC stuff, according to Pete from Football Insider. Rob Holding is a target for Wolves, Crystal Palace and Real Betis, so another club from La Liga, before the close of the transfer window, sources have told Football Insider. Now, Wolves, Crystal Palace, okay, some Premier League clubs there, and Fabrizio Romano alluded to that there were Premier League clubs informed on Rob Holding's situation, he said. Wolves Wolves would be an interesting one because they did lose Nathan Collins. They only had him for about a year, I believe, before they sold him to Brentford this summer. And I think, they might want a little bit more depth. Connor Cody, who was on loan at Everton last year, came back from his loan but has now gone off to Leicester. So you could see why Wolves might want to pick up Rob Holding in that situation. Crystal Palace, I don't know. I mean, Gehi Palace, Gehi Holding sort of thing. I don't know. Mark Gehi's name keeps coming up. I would love us to go get Mark Gehi regardless of what happens with Rob Holding and Gabriel, because quite frankly I think we need the depth at centre back. So let's see if Arsenal sort of try and really do something with that interest there. It does, every time we kind of hear about it, if Gabriel leaves, Arsenal are willing to get replacements lined up, and Gehi's one of them. I don't want it to be an either or. I think it's got to be, add Gehi because we've lost Timber. And I want to remind everyone of this, okay? If Cedric, Tavares, Rob Holding go, Tierney's gone, trying to think who else is there, Timber's injured, your only defenders going into the season, natural defenders who have played frequent football in a back four, are Tomiyasu, White, Saliba, Kivior, Gabriel and Zinchenko. That's 6 players for 8 slots, because if you're talking 2 players for 4 positions, that's 8 slots and we've only got 6 players to fill them in the squad. Okay, Partey has slotted in at right back. We don't love that experiment. Maybe in an injury crisis, you turn to that. But we're talking not even about an injury crisis. We're talking about managing the Champions League run. We're talking about managing the fact that we want to be competitive on all fronts. We've got 2 top goalkeepers, but we're not sure we've got 2 top players for every position in defence. So I do think, regardless of what happens with Gabriel, we need to be bringing another defender in. I think letting Rob Holding go no matter what, I think is probably right. But certainly, forgetting Gabriel needs to stay, and we need to add another defender. I think we all recognise that. In terms of Rob Holding and whether I think he's going to go and whether this gets over the line, I think it does, because I just think we're in one of those situations with Rob Holding where he trained away from the first team. And I've actually kind of touched on this in a few videos, but that's quite ruthless of Arteta and Arsenal. Don't get me wrong, it's the right thing to do. I agree. Take the core group of players who are part of your team going forward, who are going to be a part of what you want Arsenal to be next season, and the Cedrics, the Holdings, the Tavareses, the whoever else, put them, not put them aside, but they're going to train separately, and Arsenal have been quite ruthless in doing that. And I think that just tells you that these players, that they're almost, if they're not close to moves, then Arsenal are saying to them, well, make some moves happen because you're not a part of our plans. And for players like Cedric and Tavares, who was signed by Arteta, by the way, and Rob Holding, who was given a new deal by Arteta and has largely been backed by the manager, that's quite ruthless. So it remains to see what happens there. Albert Sambi Lokonga is another one. And like I said with Gabriel, I really don't want him to go. I don't think you can get a defender in this window that's as good as him. I really, really don't think you can. But if a offer comes in that just feels like stupid money, and Arteta doesn't see him as a player starting week in, week out, like he hasn't for these opening 3 games, then are Arsenal really going to walk away from that? I hope not, but let's see. Everyone, let me know your thoughts. Do subscribe. Nearly got it wrong. Do subscribe to AFTV. Hit the bell button so you get alerted whenever there is an upload. And like I said, we'll be keeping you up to date with all the breaking news on anything happening transfer related. Robbie is doing Transfer Daily every day up until Friday, of course, when transfer deadline day is, and we'll be keeping up to date with everything on deadline day as well. Go check out some of the AFTV merch we have. One of my favourite, the Saliba top. That's all in the link in the description below. And if you download the AFTV Plus app as well, you will be able to just have a look at everything on the store and join us for Fan Zone. There is a Fan Zone later today at midday. In fact, by the time this video is coming out, it won't be long. So you can join Cecil and Laurie and talk all things Arsenal. Mainly, I think the topic of discussion today is around some of the tinkering Arteta's been done. So do go give your opinions on AFTV. And of course, we're running Twitter Spaces where you can do that too. Lots of opportunities to have your say, so do join us for all that. And a big thanks for anyone who's watched this video, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.